morning, everyone. Welcome to Mojo Monday. It's a lovely day here in Victoria. The sun is shining, and I think it's going to get a little bit warmer than it is now. Welcome, welcome. If this is your first time finding me, because I happen to just pop up, then welcome. I am also going live on YouTube, and for any of you who watch me on YouTube, I would love for you to send me a comment and let me know that it works on YouTube. I've never had any kind of affirmation of that, but that would be great. But when you are looking for me, you can either find me here on my Facebook page, From Me to Paper Crafts, or you can find me here on YouTube, From Me to Paper Crafts. You just have to look me up. I'm a Canadian Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I have been crafting for well over 30 years. I just love it. I find time every day to be in my craft room. And I just love creating with color. I love the way Stampin' Up products are all coordinating. Everything coordinates so that usually your design at the end of it, even if you're brand new, you will get something that is fairly satisfactory to you. So yeah, so Stampin' Up products are great. So enough of that. Today I have a kind of a fun card. I'm going to show you the card that I made using this technique, and this is using the Painterly Pears suite of products. The greeting I'm going to talk about, I'm going to use a greeting from this set of pre-cut sentiments that you can purchase. Makes it easier, no stamping required, just pop them out of their frame and there you go, you're ready to go. So, but this is the technique I want to show you. I'm calling it an angled striped card because these are stripes. So you basically cut a piece of your designer series paper. You probably want to choose a designer series paper that has a small print on it versus something really large, because you may not see the pattern as well. When you do this, a small print would be perfect. You can cut it basically to any size that you want. It forms a layer on your card. So you see I have my card base here, and then I've got this layer of this DSP, and then I framed it with a mat behind it. So you can do whatever it is that you want. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to creating this. And how I started and what I learned from it. So there you go. That's what I'm going to teach you today. All right, so let's get started. The other products I'm going to be using, I've decided to make it simple and use the designer series paper, our current 6x6 paper packs of designer series paper. All of our colors come in these packs of 6x6. So we have 5 color families. So you can pick whatever color family that you want, including the in colors. These packs are the 2 current in colors. So it's a set of 5 colors. And so you can pick those, and they all have these great patterns on them. So I'm going to use a paper from here. I'm going to use kind of a leafy pattern for this card, and I'm making the card more or less a monochromatic card. The other thing I'm using is I'm going to use this leafy stamp from the Spotlight on Nature stamp set. I'm not sure. I haven't really updated my inventory to say whether this is still current or not. I'm not sure. But if you look it up online, Spotlight on Nature, basically you're picking anything that coordinates with the paper that you're deciding on. So because I'm going to use a leafy pattern in the designer series paper, I want some kind of a leaf. So you may have numerous stamp sets where you just need a leafy pattern to stamp on as your background. Okay. The other thing I'm using is these. These are called Greetings for All Mix and Match Pack. And you get a bunch of greetings, both in black and in white, that you can pick from. So you just have to pop them out of the frame, and then you have some greetings that are ready to go. I love that idea. I hope Stampin' Up comes out with a whole bunch more. Another great greeting set is called More Messages. This is a greeting set that comes with 1 die. Okay, now the easiest way to use this is to take the stamp. It's 1 large stamp. Let me show you. It's 1 large rubber stamp. So the best way to do this is if you have a stamp positioning tool, say the Stamparatus that Stampin' Up had, or you may have some other stamp positioning tool, you want to use the stamp on that tool because you're going to ink the whole stamp up, and then you're going to press it to a piece of, say, white cardstock to get all the greetings. But if it doesn't stamp quite well enough, then by using the stamp positioning tool, you just simply re-stamp over the rubber stamp and close the door and press down again to get a really nice black, say black images or blue or whatever color you want to do them on. And then you cut them all out at once with this die. So I end up with just having a little bag with some greetings that I've done that way. So then I can just pop out a greeting when I want it. So those are two great options for greetings. Okay. All right, let's get started. So in my paper pack, I have decided, I'm going to turn my camera to my desktop so you can see my hands and see what I'm doing here. Good morning, Lena. Welcome this morning. Let me just do solo layout for my desktop. Here we go. And I'm going to pull my lights forward here. Okay. All right. So I pulled out, for cardstock, I pulled out two of our new in colors, Cloud Cover, and I've suddenly forgotten. Cloud Cover is this one, this light blue. It's a beautiful blue. It pairs beautifully with Misty Moonlight and Night of Navy. And this one is called Secret Sea. It's a darker card. Now, I'm not sure which one I want for my card base, but I'm pulling out and then I'm trying to decide, do I want the dark print or the light print? I might go for the light print and frame it in the dark. So I'm pulling out this sheet. So it's just a leafy pattern. And that's what I'm going to cut into strips. Okay. And then we will frame it on, see, look how nice these two colors look together. So we're going to frame it on here. Okay. And then I think I'll go back to this card base. So that's kind of the look I'm looking for here. And then on the card base, I'm going to stamp this leaf in the same color, Cloud Cover. Okay. So I did a couple of prototypes. Now the one tip I want to tell you is that when you look at this, you're cutting a piece of designer series paper and you're cutting it into strips. But when you glue this on, you've got spaces in between. So it's very, very hard to work out what the mat size will be. So I did do a mat and I got into trouble. I was laying my strips down, and when I got to the end, I didn't have enough room on this mat to put that strip in. So I decided to cheat and just lay the strips on a quarter panel of cardstock and then cut it down to size. Okay. So that's what I did. Here's another sample that I did. I did that with this one, and then it worked out perfectly. Okay. So I'll show you how to do that. I did do another prototype earlier, and you see right away, I started off not getting this even on the left. You really and truly have to start your first strip with it glued evenly to leave an equidistant space, because that set me off on a crooked tangent. And then I just decided to try and cut it down, and it didn't work out very well because this is now on an angle. So it didn't work out very well. So what I did, I didn't want to waste this because it was a lot of work. So I just simply took a square die and cut this piece out, and I will put this on a card. So there you go. It's not waste not, want not. All right, let's get started. So we're going to start with our card base. I just need to score this at 4 1/4 inches. So 4 1/4. Now you can decide on the orientation of your card base. You decide that, what you want to do. Okay. So I've got my card base, and I really like to, make my edges meet, and then I grab my bone folder and then I crease it. Okay, so there's my card base, and I'm going to stamp directly on my card base. So I'm going to keep it closed, and I'm going to grab this cloud cover ink, and I'm going to just stamp this randomly over the card base. I'm just inking it up really well, and I'm just going to randomly stamp a pattern. So I thought that these leaves more or less matched the leaves in the design. So I was looking for something similar. And you just want to rotate your stamp around just so that your pattern is mixed up. And you could rotate your cardstock. Now, a lot of the card front is going to get covered over. And then you want to kind of fill in the spaces. Oops, I got a little bit of extra ink on there. Okay, so that's done. Okay, now my little inky mistake is right here, but that's going to get covered. See, by the time I'm finished, it'll be covered over. Okay. All right, let's start doing the strip. Now I'm going to cut this down. My designer series paper, I'm going to cut this down to 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. That's just the measurement I've decided on. So, and I want to cut it across this way. So I want 3 3/4 here. So let's go 3 3/4 along this way. And then I want 3 1/4 this way. Now you can do this for any size that you want. Okay. Now, here's the key way to cut. If you look at this, let me bring my camera down a little bit closer. If you look at this carefully, you're cutting the paper on an angle. So this is wide at the top here to a narrow at the bottom. Then this is narrow to wide, wide to narrow, narrow to wide. So you're alternating the cuts. You're basically going to be twisting your paper like this. Okay, so I'm going to start off with wide. So I am making the left side of the paper higher. And so this is wide. Here's my cutting track. So I'm making this wide and I'm making it narrow at the bottom. Can you see that? Let me come a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, I'm going wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. So you're going to cut. Now, it's best to lay these out on something. So let me just make some room here. So I've got my silicone mat in my upper left-hand corner here, and I'm just going to lay this out. So let me lift my camera up again so you can see what I'm doing, okay? So I'm going to lay my strips out because you don't want to lose the order of the strips. So I went wide to narrow. Now I turn the paper so I get narrow at the top and wide at the bottom. And you can decide on, you know, the cuts. They don't have to all be the same. You're going to kind of make them a bit random. So now I want wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. So I'm going to make this one just a little bit more narrow. So let's see, this top is not as wide as, say, the first one that I did. Okay, now I want to go narrow. So narrow to wide. Okay, narrow to wide. So you can see I've got narrow to narrow, wide, narrow, wide. That's kind of how it goes. Now I want a wide to narrow. So wide to narrow. Then I want narrow to wide. And really, you can decide on how many cuts you want. You know, you can make them a lot larger than I'm doing. Then, of course, that's less gluing. So now I'm going narrow to wide. Wide to narrow now. I'm going to make that one a little bit wider. And you're going to be using your Tombow glue for this. Now I'm going narrow to wide. Now, as your paper gets smaller, there's a chance that as you move your scoring blade, it could shift. So I'm just grabbing a little piece of tape and holding it securely, okay, just to make sure it doesn't move. So there's a narrow to wide. And then I want a wide to narrow, and that'll be my last cut. So again, I'm going to stick my tape on there just so it doesn't move. Okay, so there's my wide to narrow, and then my last strip is my narrow to wide. So it looked complicated in the beginning, but it really isn't. Okay, so now I have all my strips laid out, and so my tip for you was to start with, don't try and make the mat the size you need to start with. So I'm going to pull in, this is half a sheet of cardstock. This is the Secret C, and I'm just going to cut this into a quarter panel. So I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4, and then I'm going to just trim it down and keep my scraps for something else. I'm just telling you that it's a lot easier rather than worry about squeezing them in on a predetermined size mat. Okay? All right. Now, I like to use my grid sheet. I find it really, really helpful for lining stuff up. And I have some double back tape here. Buy this at Staples. It's a non-sticky, a non-permanent tape. You can get this, at Staples. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the back just to hold it securely on my grid sheet. I just like to have that visual clue. Okay. All right, now we're going to start gluing. So I'm going to start, I go left to right. Okay, now what you're doing here is you're not filling in this whole area. You are actually going to just start along the bottom. I find it's easier to start at the bottom. And you're going to give yourself just about an 1/8 inch border. Okay, so 1/8 inch border here at the bottom and along the top. So again, make sure this doesn't go crooked. You want to make sure it's straight. And that was the mistake I made on one of my samples. Okay, so I like Tombow glue because it does give you a tiny bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to... Good morning, Christine. Don't worry about being late. You can always watch the replay. That's what I love about these. All right, so I'm going to the bottom left corner and I'm just positioning it. Make sure the strip on the left is even, top to bottom. That's really key. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then you take your second strip. Now, again, you're going straight on the bottom, and then you're pivoting. So you're making an even space top to bottom. Okay. So let's take the next one. It's going to take me a bit of time. You could watch the replay and fast forward if you want, but you're stuck with me live for now. So again, I'm making sure I'm straight at the bottom. Take your time. You got your Tombow glue, doesn't dry instantly. And I'm making sure I do an even space top to bottom. Okay. Now, if you end up with a bit of glue kind of oozing out here and there, you can let this completely dry, and then you can use a glue eraser and get rid of the excess glue. And don't worry if things aren't absolutely perfectly straight. Remember, it's a handmade with love creation. We're not robots. We're not in a robotic assembly line. Okay, you just want to take your time. Really, I always like to think of it, I'm enjoying the process. See, I feel like I'm already starting to go a little bit higher as I go along, but I'm not too worried. Okay. Oh boy, this is a really skinny one. What are the starting sizes of the papers? Okay, I started with a regular card base, regular size A2 card base. And then the designer series, depending on, how big you want the focal point. I'll show you the focal point again so you can see it. Whoa, 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 that slid. Whoo. Okay, do one thing at a time, Erica, here. This, you missed this at the beginning. This is the card. Okay, so it just depends on how big you want this panel to be. I wanted to show the background that I stamped, so I made this size. You could make it a lot smaller as well. So it just depends what size. So it doesn't really matter. But what I'm doing for this card, this size is 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. So this is 3 3/4 across the top and by 3 1/4 down the bottom. And then you want to just glue it to a quarter panel. Don't worry about the mat because you may run out of space when you're gluing your strips down. I learned that from experience. So just do a quarter sheet. Whoops, I'm doing that wrong. Oh, I'm not concentrating. Oh, I did 2 wrong. Look at that. I did 2 wrong. See, I was talking and working at the same time. See my mistake? Narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow, narrow. It's too late to take this off now. So I'm just going to go to wide here. Yeah, I screwed up. Okay, when you make this card, don't talk. You need concentration here. So I screwed up. So hopefully that doesn't. Now this is going to go wide at the bottom. Yeah, I screwed up. Listen to what I say. Don't watch what I do. No, I'm doing it wrong again, you guys. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Okay. So I think, yeah, it's not going to work out in the end because now I'm on a slant here. Darn it all. I'm on a slant. Okay, well, it is what it is, and we're going to go with it. And I know how I'm going to fix it. I'm thinking of some gemstones already. Okay. This is what you really want it to look like. Okay, we went wide, narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow, wide, narrow, wide. So you basically have even edges on each side. I now do not. Okay, now I'm going to bring out this trimmer because of the wire in it. I like using the wire when I have to trim closely to something. So this is not going to work the way I wanted it to work, ladies, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. You can always fix mistakes. Oh, I've got, you know why it's not moving? I've got this. Okay, hang on. I put some non-permanent glue on the back to hold it down so it didn't move. So now I have to remove it. Okay. All right, that's better. All right, so I'm looking here and I'm going to trim this with a very narrow. See, I love that wire in there. I'm going to trim that. Okay, and then I'm going to trim the top. Okay, so I've ended up with this little bit here. I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix that. All right, here's my card base that I pre-stamped. So this is going to go on here like this. Okay, now I'm going to grab, oh, I wonder where I put them now. I bought some new gemstones for the new in colors. And where did I put them? But you know what? Look at these. Look at these. I might use these instead, but I'm really looking for the new in colors. I know I bought, oh, is that them? No, that's not them. Okay, I don't know what I did with those. They're here somewhere. So I'm just going to use something else. Okay, so we're going to be putting this on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some gemstones along here. Let's pull this down so you can see it. And I think I'll come down a bit lower. Okay, now we have to decide on a greeting. So on this card, I use this happy birthday greeting from the pack, and I put a few rhinestones down here or gems down here. And I added a bit of flower, and I added this gold mesh, which I think is still available online. You can check. We had it in gold and we had it in silver. And I just added this little bit of gold. Can you see it? Gold mesh here, just for something extra. Now, you can position this in the center. You can come bottom right. You can go top left. You decide where you want to put it. Okay. Now, I did not purchase any of the coordinating ribbons. That might have been a mistake now. So I think we're going to just play with so in this set of greetings, I've got this Forever Friends. I thought I would do that. Now, you could add some kind of a die cut to here. So I didn't really plan for that. And this doesn't come with a die cut. So let me just see if I've got something I can use. I don't want to hold up my video, so I think we will. I'll put something on after and I'll add the photo so you'll see it. So I might just do something really simple like this. So let's glue this on. I basically wanted to show you the technique, and then you can go ahead and do whatever it is that you want. So I'm looking for my, here we go. So I'm going to put this greeting on some dimensionals. I'm going to put this closer to here. You could wrap some ribbon around here is another idea for you, or some linen thread or something would be pretty. So I can see some glue had squeezed out here. So I'm just going to wait for my card to completely dry. And then you really need to have a glue eraser. I use this a lot in my crafting. And then you'll just be able to see if I can do it now. It needs to be dry. And then you just rub it, and then that shiny stuff will disappear. The shiny glue will come off. There you go. Okay, so that's on. I'm going to grab some of these. Look how pretty these are. And let me grab my little pokey tool here. And I'll start with the big one. So I'm going to just fix this boo-boo by putting 3 Are these even small? No, these are all the same size. 3 of these little gems here. Okay. And then I'm going to take this greeting and let's put it on dimensionals. Now, I do have some, ooh, this might be pretty. This is retired now, though. Just grab any of your ribbons. I'm sure you've got lots of ribbons lying around. Let's see what we can do. I'm just going to put a little bit of something on here. Maybe we'll do something like that, and then this greeting will go on top like that. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little piece of Scotch tape. Actually, hang on a sec. You know what? I'm going to just put a few more dimensionals on here. I decided I want the top of the ribbon and the bottom of the ribbon to poke through. Okay, so let's take these off. So those are all off. Put that like that. And then put this like that. There you go. Okay, so there's your card. So that's the technique. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. So this is my sample I started out with. And then I'm going to make a card with that one. This is the one I started with making. Look at these. I love this paper from the Painterly Pears. Okay, and then I have, I showed you that piece. Now I don't know where it is. Oh, gosh. Oh, here it is. So this turned out to be a big boo-boo, but I just took it and I die cut this piece out of it. It came out from here. I'm kind of liking this funky look of this frame though. So I think I might do something with that too. I don't know, but it's kind of funky. Kind of reminds me of an old television set. So maybe I'll do something with that and see how that comes out. Anyway, there you go. That is how you make this angled striped card or layout. Okay, I'm back. So have fun with that. Love to see what you make. And oh, thank you, Christine. Yeah, you can always fix it with maybe ribbon or with some gems. And people will think that that was part of the initial design, right? Anyway, have a great day. Have a great week. I'll see you on Thursday night for Case the Caddy. Bye, everyone.